What's up, everybody? This is Omnath's final form. And what I mean by that, literally, this is the final form of Omnath. There's been a couple iterations, three color iterations of Omnath, four color iterations of Omnath. But this is it. This is the fifth and final form. Is it the fifth? Well, it is the final form in that way. And it is five colors. So you have access to all the colors in this particular commander, which is really nice. You get a lot of really swell cards and kind of a really nice toolbox to kind of do really whatever you want. Like you can take this deck into so many different directions. But in the way that I did it is I did settle on mutate. It just seemed like a really good way to get all the mutate cards that I wanted into this particular deck. And there's always a lot of cards that like built-in support since the sets of most of the mutate cards, which was Ikoria. There's still a lot of support for it overall. And I'm going to kind of go over that with you and kind of some of the cards that are really, really strong with this particular archetype and this commander in general. So what's the deal with Omnath? Well, it is a 5-color commander, plains, islands, and has a swamp symbol, a Phyrexian swamp. That can be paid by life, or you can pay swamp for that. It's up to you, but typically we're going to be playing life for that, so it's usually like a 4-cost commander in that way. In addition, you have red and green, so 5 colors total there. The Phyrexian mana still counts as a swamp, so you do get access to all the colors. It's a legendary creature, Phyrexian Elemental. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. And I would say that's like your first objective is don't really worry about the secondary text. That's going to be pretty self-explanatory. You're going to get the hang of it. Really, that's going to be the toughest part for you is to kind of recall. But you're going to have a couple turns to kind of remember it once Omnath is on the battlefield and you have mana available. As long as you tap that mana, whether during your turn or your opponent's turn, you'll actually bank it as long as Omnath lives. So you can store up mana with this guy, which is really, really good. So the most accidental way of doing this, like if you're on an arena client, is like having a mana dork and you accidentally like pay for something additional. Like you have like a Fanatic Aronis and you tap it to cast something else. And then all of a sudden you notice you have 3 black mana in your mana pool. And you're like, oh, I just, bank that mana all of a sudden. So it's just kind of like this happy accident. So like, oh, this card does so much more than just like on its face value. It nets you mana. That's going to probably be that's the hardest learning curve for me, is just kind of to utilize that mana, not to forget about it, that it's just kind of sitting there, because you can really open up your turns. Like if you can net that mana successfully, and actually get to the hang of doing that, this card becomes that much more powerful. So if you lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. So great. So you're going to net some mana as steps and phases end, and it's not going to go away as long as he's on the battlefield. In addition, it has kind of a long-winded text box. I'm going to break it down for you to give you peace of mind in this particular next instance of Omnath and kind of how this like would develop. So what's going to happen is you're going to cast Omnath, and if it lives to your next upkeep, what's going to happen is you're going to draw a card as you would. And then what's going to happen is that you are going to look at the next card of your deck. Now, you're going to put that card into your hand no matter what. So you're basically, in a way, putting an additional card in your hand, which is nice card advantage. That's great. You're also going to be given the option to reveal it if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols in its casting cost. So in terms of colored mana symbols, Omnath Locus Evolved has 5 colored mana symbols in its casting cost. You have green, red, black, blue, and white. So that's very nice, right? So you're going to have that really cool, just colored mana symbols, and that's the best reference. This one simply has 5 colored mana symbols, and the criteria is 3. So if I have a card such as Cotis here, and after I draw, I see that I have a Cotis, and I want to add 3 mana of these color combinations to my mana pool, I would reveal this card. And then what I could do is I could choose 3 blue, I could choose 3 green, or I could choose 3 black, or any combination up to 3. So I could have 2 black and a blue. I could have a Sultai. I could do black, green, blue. I could have up to 3 of any of those combinations of colors, and that's a really nice ritual effect for sure. So that's probably pretty easy peasy stuff so far, right, guys? So that, like I said, it's really that first clause. You might have to. That might be a learning curve, but it's pretty easy to like kind of net the card and also net the mana when you do reveal. It's a really nice RNG type of an effect there. Okay, I think it's time to kind of go over like the sweet cards that I already have displayed, and we'll kind of just run it down from there. It'll be very, very simple. So why mutate? Well, there's a lot of legendary mutate cards that have 3 or more colored mana symbols in its casting cost. So for me, it was just very easy to just kind of use that as the triggering point for Omnath. What are some amazing cards with mutate, you ask? Well, there's lots. If you're not, familiar with Ivy the Gleeful Spell Thief, this one will love you to mutate onto other creatures on your battlefield. When that happens, you will be given the option to copy that spell and mutate over Ivy as well. So in that way, it doubles up your mutates, and it's just a really great card, right? Really interesting. It's also very interesting with like opponents who do some nice things to their creatures as well. Because you will have the option to even copy your opponent's things that target. Obviously, you don't want to target copy like removal spells. You don't want to copy removal spell to Ivy, but you definitely want those things that like like Curiosity is an interesting one, or Monstrous Rage. If someone does that and targets their creature, you can have the option of targeting Ivy with that same spell and copying it. Very interesting card. And Frontline Heroism is the OG, the new OG from Jumpstart. Just go pick up 30 of these, just because you could just have them, and they slot into like your nice Voltron-y heroic decks. And mutate your mutate decks that have red. It's just an easy slot in, because you're just going to simply mutate onto a creature, and then you're going to create a copy that that goes onto a hasted 1/1 token. So you're going to double up your mutates and get a hasted version of it too, which is insane. So yeah, gotta love that. So that's that. Now we're kind of going to go into like kind of the more familiar cards that maybe you've seen before with mutate, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit, and we'll just slide on from there. All right, so this one is the Vesuvian Duplimancy, and what you're really going to want to do is you're going to want to probably create multiple copies of Omnath Locus Ball with this card. Simply just by having more, you're going to get more card advantage. You're going to have more instances of getting your ritual effects, and that's what Vesuvian Duplimancy wants. It wants things to be targeted, like in a single target instance, and that's what Mutate does. You cast a card, you cast a mutated card. It targets one of your things, and that is the criteria for targeting. And this is what Vesuvian Duplimancy wants to see. It wants to see you target in a single instance, which a mutate card will do to a creature, and then you'll create an additional copy of that creature that was targeted. So really cool card for 4 mana there. Nice enchantment. Just kind of very, very like appropriate for what we're doing. 1 second, okay, guys? Just a little bit of glare there, but it should be okay. You should be able to see the cards. Oh, by the way, I am giving this deck away up as sleeves, so I forgot to mention that. But if you stuck around for a couple minutes now, to comment on the video. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, this thing's fully sleeved up, ready to go for your LGS. Kind of an unheard of stuff, right? I think I'll make the criteria like 750 views of this video, or up to 625 subscribers. Whatever comes first, we'll just give away the deck at that point. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining me today. Yeah, we kind of do this at incrementals of our subscribership, and it's definitely helped to grow the channel. So here's the Auspicious Sterix. This is the most powerful mutate card we have in our deck. It's clearly the strongest. It will make you pop off more than others. It will help you kind of reach parity with other kind of decks that have powerful things to do and synergize in a particular way. Basically, as this thing mutates over creatures, they'll bring permanents onto the battlefield, whether they're lands or non-lands. Basically, how many times this thing has mutated will bring more and more permanence on the battlefield. It's just kind of an amazing card. So yeah, you're just gonna like love this card, Auspicious Sterix. In addition, Helga is also very cool as well. Helga is one of those things that likes to be mutated on. So mutate is a really interesting thing because it modifies creatures. So if I modify onto Helga, for instance, with an Auspicious Sterix, Helga will now be a I believe it'll turn into a 7/7 because we'll get a counter. You'll draw. You'll also draw. And then you can just tap. You can tap for 7 mana of a single color at that point because Helga's power gets modified. It increases because when you mutate, you have the option to mutate over or under. And when you mutate over, you get the stat line here for the over creature. You keep the abilities for both creatures, but you got to just kind of see this as just kind of stacking the power and also the creature type. Helga would be considered non-legendary if you mutated over it, which kind of gets into some naughty things when you're working like with kind of these Vesuvan duplimencies and stuff, and copying in general. Here is the Scoot Swarm. This is also another creature that's going to be absolutely a terror if you mutate onto it, because once you reach that criteria of 6 or more lands on the battlefield and you're dropping more, then it's going to get really, really crazy, because once again, if you like put a 6/6 Auspicious Sterix over this, each time a land comes, it's not going to be considered a 1/1 copy. It's going to be considered a 6/6, and that's a win con in general. So Scoot Storm is also really powerful for mutate decks. Codis is like a newcomer from Dragonstorm Tarkir. You're definitely going to want to mutate onto this sucker too. Once again, you can see the higher power that you have on these things, and giving it opportunities maybe to put flying or trample on them, and raising their power, you get more value out of it. So Codis is perfect because it has indestructibility, very hard to deal with in combat, and just like dodges a lot of things in general. So, and also triggers Omnath. So be cognizant of what we're doing here for Omnath. Locus of All, you can see the 3 colored pips there are perfect to trigger Omnath. Oh, and these are just amazing. Like the Sylvan Caryatid Paradise Druids, they're just amazing because, well, Sylvan Caryatid is amazing. Like you're simply just going to be able to use this as a hub to mutate onto. You don't have to worry about it getting targeted. It's just a really nice mana dork. Just checks all the boxes off, right? Paradise Druid is similar to that. Remember though, when it is tapped, it will lose hexproof. So you kind of want to do your mana stuff with it, and then when you're ready to mutate on it, you want to leave it alone and not tap it any longer and just start mutating onto it, preferably. Here's Kiki Jiki. This is a combo in itself, also triggers Omnath, so you'll notice that. And once again, like I said, if you mutate onto a legendary creature, it will lose its legendary status. And then you can move to an opponent's end step and then copy your creatures redundantly with this Kiki Jiki mutate ability, or copy itself. And you can just make a million copies and you can just swing it on your opponents and just win from there. So yeah, just a really strong kind of little combo-esque card there. And once again, all these legendaries just have like an amazing like synergy with Omnath, that they all just trigger that Omnath when you do reveal it. So it just works so well, and the mutates are just so powerful. Like this will get into your non-creature spells in your graveyard. You'll cast them freely. Just really nice and strong stuff. Mutate was always a really nice mechanic, and the mutates are just always so very very nice, and they have some really nice. Like I said, like you can imagine with the Ivy frontline heroism stuff, these things can really get out of control. Like you just have to kind of get the hang of like, well, do I want to put it under or over? Like that's what I mean. Like, so for instance, I have an Ivy, right? I'm not gonna, when I mutate onto a creature, I'm not gonna put Snapbacks on top of both, because if I do that, I'm gonna legend rule, because it will retain legendary for both types. So for instance, if you're doing the Ivy thing with Snapbacks, what you're gonna want to do is put Snapbacks on the top of the other creature, probably most likely, and then under the Ivy, so you don't legend rule the Snapbacks. It's kind of far out stuff, but kind of makes sense. And once again, just triggering Omnath. This is a really nice one. Rotrimi will get into the graveyard and gives our fetch up some of our mutate cards to get in there. So that's nice. And just be a nice 6/6 trampler. Then you have Nethroi, who loves to see things go to the graveyard to get some nice value and return some creatures. Brokos, just for, once again, redundant mutates from the graveyard. Goes in the graveyard, we can get more mutates, so we love it. Once again, just all triggering our homie here, Omnath, so you love to see it. Aluna, beautiful. Yeah, this deck is yours, one of yours. Just make a comment, guys. It's just crazy. What am I doing? So sick. Do it. Make a comment now. Like and subscribe. Share with your friends. Annie joins up. This is a sweet removal spell, and just the fact that it will double up our mutate triggers on our legendaries, and also our Omnath triggers on upkeep is just absolutely crazy. So you just love it, and it triggers it as well. Congregation at Dawn. So yeah, this was Vaughn's. He's like, yo, it's just everlasting, man. This is just like fetch up 3 creatures and just stack your deck. Honestly, insane. With like Auspicious Sterex, you could just go, you could draw your Auspicious Sterex, mutate onto something, and then go into like a Royal Elemental and just like GG it from there. So just an amazing card for us. Disciple. And you could probably also set that up for an instance to trigger your Omnath too, if you had Omnath on the battlefield. So just more insane things that you could do with a Congregation. Honestly, it's just the sky's the limit, to be honest. So yeah, really insane. Here's Disciple of Fraelis, and yeah, I would love to play this deck actually, like really soon. This deck seems really fun. Disciple of Fraelis, this one is going to trigger Omnath and also draw some cards by sacrificing a creature. Yeah, the fact that these lands can also trigger Omnath are really crazy. I couldn't, put in the Seagate Restoration and the Ogdeem. It just would, be too much, too expensive. I'm trying to I'm pacing myself for these giveaways, and it's been working so far. It's kind of keep them around $130, but with the cosmetics, it's about 150. Because I give you some sweet cosmetics too. Invert Polarity has a sweet value spell. You can like basically have a chance to take control of a spell or counter it in either way. So that's really nice. Time Wipe is a really cool option because it will actually push back like a mutated creature to our hand and then destroy everything else, which is nice because then you can reset your mutates and start mutating over again and getting value, which is really, really cool in this way. And you'll see all these trigger Omnath. So we put some thought in this one. We tested it on Brawl, and it was fantastic, and everything worked out really nice. So yeah, I think you'll like the way it plays. Supreme Verdict 2, I think it turned out to be a bracket 2 deck. So really nice little bracket 2 deck. Royal Elemental, that's just the nice little kind of win con we have. Will trigger Omnath, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain control of target creature for as long as you control the Royal Elemental. Fantastic. Dreamtail Heron, this is just like our value suite for like our mutated creatures in general. They're just like really swell, and in many ways they don't have like the way to trigger Omnath, but they're just like low mutate cost. They'll give us value in some way. I'd say Migratory Greathorn is like your best bet. So really, really strong. Just 3 mana card that will just fetch up basics each time it mutates, which is really cool. Really cool when you're doing Ivy things because you're, mutating over your Lotus Cobra, and then you're mutating over your Ivy, and you're, hitting more land drops and generating more mana. You love it. Creating more mutate possibilities for later. Gem Razor is really sweet too, just to kind of put a nice trampler onto something and also start taking care of artifacts and enchantments. Sea Dasher, you're definitely going to want to mutate onto this something. Otherwise, it's just like a 2/2, but the mutate cost is so low. You're going to love that. Same with Lord Dracus, just really low mutate costs. The more mutates you can get, the better. And these 2 mana and 3 mana mutates just will help you get there faster. Regal Leosaur. So you get into like your 3 mana mutates. All these will buff up the squad, the Leosaur and the Liger, so that's nice. Vulpix will get flying to something, low mutate. Shooting Harvester will have your opponent's sacrifice creatures, which is really nice. Cub Warden just for some nice tokens and a lifelinker, just a nice little board presence. Evercool Phoenix just to kind of give you some longevity. When your things do die, you can just return the Phoenix to the battlefield and keep mutating. Pouncing Sword Shark for some token removal. Really nice token removal for bouncing things or just simply bouncing more problematic threats. Cavern Whisperer to have our opponents discard cards. I think I have a redundancy of this, and I was kind of wondering because I was missing a card to put in too. So here's Chittering Harvester again, once again, so that's fine. It's just an extra card. Here's Mind Leecher. So that one's a really nice one as well. That will give us value from our opponent's libraries. It will exile a card from each of our opponent's libraries when it mutates. And here's the Sawdust Demolisher. A really nasty thing. This is like one of my favorite things to put on a Scute Swarm because it makes the 6/6 tramplers. So just really cool in that way. Nice card. Here's a Chromatic Lantern. Really nice for these budgety decks to just kit like a nice thing that will fix your mana base and 5 colors. So it's like a nice budget option for your 5 color decks is a Chromatic Lantern for sure. And then you have your mana suite. You want to have a decent amount of creatures because you want to be able to mutate onto them too. So Noble Hierarch is perfect, and they have to be non-humans. Llanowar Elves is nice. Bird of Paradise is great. Lotus Cobra, Elysian Carried is fantastic. Fanatic of Ronus is good. So I didn't really hold back. Tireless Provisioner is fantastic for that little nice mana boost. It'll fix your mana really well. Babero Elder, similarly, tapping for the amount of colored permanents you control. Really nice mana dork there. Uro just does so much, draws cards, gets additional land drops, is nice 6/6 later on in the game. Lots of value. Explorer, this could be a Rampant Growth too. I am fond of the Farseek and Rampant Growth. Just couldn't find it in my collection, but on the list will be Rampant Growth, and I'll get in the meantime. But for now, it can just be an Explorer. But Rampant Growth will fetch up all the basics, so really strong. Similar, I really like Farseek and Rampant Growth a lot for these 5 color decks. Growth Spiral, really sweet there. Instant speed, draw a card, extra land drop. Planner Genesis is similar in that way, kind of very redundant. Then you have your Protection Suite in white. You have the two rune mothers, Giver runes and Mother runes, and this is just really nice stuff, right? What's interesting enough about the Mother runes is it can give itself protection as well. Really weird card, but really cool. Great to mutate onto. These are not humans. This is just a cleric. This is just a core cleric. So really sweet stuff there. And then you have your nice blue spells. I mean, the blue spells are just so good. We know all about these. We know what they do. These 1 mana blue spells. We got some removal here. I just love it. Tail's End, really nasty stuff. Really easy on the 5 colors too. It's not too demanding, right? And then you have your mana fixing here. Really good for your landfall decks. Is this like these Capenna lands here? So I have those 4. And these ones are interesting because they'll just sacrifice themselves right when they come on the battlefield. And then I have a few basics, more forests in general, and then a couple islands, some beautiful full art islands I got for you guys here. Some nice plains. It's just beautiful. Some nice mountains. Some stomp for the little creature removal and Bridgeworks battle. And then it's just going to go into like some nice duels, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard. We did the slow lands here. A variety of slow lands, a variety of fast lands, and then we have the pain lands represented too. So that's kind of how the deck rounds out with mana fixing. And yeah, you even get a nice little Ice Age one there too from Carpusan Forest. So yeah, that's the deck, guys. And I appreciate you kind of visiting with me today. I'm just gonna be quiet here and just kind of shuffle through the deck real quick so you can kind of get one last look at it, and make sure you like the video. I appreciate it, you guys. It really helps out a lot. All right, so here we go. Thanks again, everybody. I'll see you soon. Next will be Sir Tycho. We're very excited. And I think I have Firelord Azula and Gisa, the Hellraiser, coming. So be on the lookout for those as well. Very exciting stuff. Let's go, baby. Bye-bye.